What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be getting into the NBA Power Rankings. Let's see. It's Sunday, 3/27. So, I do believe that I'm going to only be doing one more Power Rankings after this. So I'll probably be releasing that around Thursday because I'm going on vacation during spring break, my time. But, that's about... After that, I do believe we might have a final season power rankings. But if I don't, then we're just diving into playoff predictions at that point, playing tournament predictions. So it should be fun. We're really getting into that. We're in that stretch, seeding wise, and trying to make the play-in tournament and all that, and get better seeds in that tournament. And a lot of teams are eliminated right now. Whoever's in the hunt here is not eliminated. Anyone that's outside of it is. So that's just something to point out at this point on. If a team's eliminated, they're going to be out of that in the hunt tier. Let's get into these power rankings. Starting out with the number 30 team, which will be Orlando. The Orlando Magic eliminated from playoff contention. Have been that for, I believe, 2 weeks. Orlando. Drop it down a spot. I switched them with the number 29 team, Houston. Both these teams, basically all these teams that are eliminated. Not a lot to talk about. Trying to get a higher pick at this point and get better chances in the lottery so they can go stronger and to develop their team so they could be more competitive in the future. That's really all these teams are trying to do at this point. Magic, I do believe, is the worst team. I really just I feel like the Rockets have more going for them in the future than the Magic do. So that's really my viewpoint on that. And it goes the same thing for the Pistons. I feel like the Pistons have the best way forward out of any of these teams into the future. 2054 with Kate Cunningham. They're going to be staying at the same spot from last week. But those three teams just looking towards the future. And then we got the Thunder at number 27, and they are officially eliminated from contention. We're not last power rankings, but now they are officially at 21-55. Have just gone a very bad stretch, 1-9. The reason why they were in that bad tier for a lot of weeks in a row, because they kind of were like 4-6, 3-7-ish each week. And they were right there with the Pacers, who are the other bad tier member at that time. It's just what the Thunder were doing. Now they've completely went on a downpour, and they're back into that trash as they were at the beginning of the year. But they are better than all these four teams. I think they're more competitive. These three teams, I think, are very similar. But the Thunder, I think, are just, overall more competitive, and it's easier to judge them over all of them. Those three, you can go either way. You can switch that all the way up, and I wouldn't be mad with it. But anyway, moving on, we got the number 26 team, which will be Indiana at, let's see, the Pacers are 25-50. They were eliminated last week. They're eliminated this week as well. I've lost 3 straight games, 3-7 in the last 10 games. But it's the same Pacers team all year. They're just a team that's going to be a decently competitive each game, but they're not really going to win games with this talent. It's just about being competitive. That's why they're in the bad tier. Just trying to be competitive, but they're not. They're all year long. I wouldn't say that they were a playoff team at all, or even a play-in tournament team. So, in the hunt tier, I could see these teams making it all year long. I could not see the Indiana Pacers making it. They've just been staying this tier. I don't even know for how long, maybe even all season. So, that's where the Pacers are at. And then number 25, we got the Trailblazers dropping down 2 spots. Officially, Damian Lillard is out. I was thinking that this team was keeping them in contention, and then Damian Lillard would come back to get them back. But he is out for the rest of the season, so that's going to drop them big. They've lost 2 straight. He might just be gone there for good. I don't see why they would keep them. They're just in a full rebuild mode. They've lost 3 straight games. Just not a good position there in the Trailblazers. They don't really have a future plan right now. It's just it's not a good place right now in Portland. They're going to need to fix some things. Obviously, you don't want to trade Damian Lillard away, but it might have to happen for this future because I don't see, with this roster, I don't see you even winning with Damian Lillard at this point unless you make some money moves in free agency. But we'll see what happens with Portland. They're not eliminated yet, so they could still make the playoffs. I seriously doubt it, though. They're like on the verge of getting eliminated. And then another team that's on the verge of getting eliminated, the Kings, jumping up a spot. And I feel like the Kings, over the Trailblazers, they've won 2 straight games. They're playing better right now, obviously. And the Kings, I mean, they got more going for them in the future. I feel like there's not really, though. I mean, I say that, and then every year they're the same position where they're like really in the hunt place every year, bad in the hunt. Every year, they just cannot get over that hump. Even with the 10-team format now, they cannot make the play-in tournament. It's not a good Kings team, really, for the future. But, I mean, they got something going for them. It's not a great organization, to be honest. They've made some questionable moves. We'll see what happens with the Kings. But the year's not done yet. I mean, but again, they're just like the Blazers at this point. They're actually in a worse position at 27-48. Blazers are at 27-47 to make it. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but they're going to be jumping up a spot from last week. And then number 23, we got the San Antonio Spurs. There we are. San Antonio is, let's see, 30-44. So San Antonio is actually in a good spot to make the play-in tournament. They're only a game back. This has literally been them all season long. Well, not all year. I remember like in December-ish, they were like in this bad tier. But now they've turned things around. And then again, like 6-4 in the last 10 games. That's really what they've been all year. They've won 3 straight. They're literally 4-6, 5-5, 6-4. Like that's how I remember the Spurs team every week. This team can very much make the tournament, the play-in tournament. They just need to get some help from the Pelicans, and they're in. I mean, the Lakers could actually drop out. Lakers are 21-42. They're only a game and a half back on LA. So it's interesting. Spurs have a path to make the play-in tournament. I don't think they're the 10th best team in the Western Conference, though. I think that they're just a very competitive team, and very well coached. But we'll see what happens. They could maybe sneak in. Greg Popovich can work his magic. I do believe they made it last year, so maybe he can do it again. Anyway, moving on to the number 22 team, which will actually be the Pelicans in the play-in tournament here. The Pelicans, it's very close between these teams. Pelicans are going to be staying at the same spot at 31-43, at 4-6 in the last 10 games. That they're allowing the Spurs a path. The Spurs went on a winning streak. It was looking like the Pelicans were in a good spot last week to make the play-in tournament and have a chance to make the playoffs. Not really so much now. But then they also got something going for them because the Lakers are struggling as well. So they could maybe jump past the Lakers. I mean, that shouldn't be on their mind, though. They should be focused on securing a spot in the play-in tournament. Because this Spurs team, they can go on a winning streak. They're competitive. I wonder if they play each other soon. Pelicans actually play the Lakers soon. That is a massive game. But we'll see what happens there. And then anyway, now we're going to get to these two East teams who've basically been in the same spot for basically every week. Basically this whole 2 months, I think. The Wizards, sitting at the same spot from last week at 31-42. It is just not, I mean, the Wizards are better than the Spurs, but it is a tough road to make the play-in tournament. I mean, the best team is a 500 record in the Hawks. It just does not look like either of these teams. I'm just going to throw out there the Knicks as well. At number 20, Wizards 21, Knicks 20. Both these teams, Knicks are 32-42, Wizards only a half a game back. I feel like the Knicks just have a little bit more talent, but it is very close between those two teams. And the Knicks have been playing better lately. Wizards had a path, but then they went on a very bad losing streak, and that really just put them out of contention. They're not out yet, but I mean they're going to need to get a miracle. They're 5 games The Knicks are 5 games back on the Hawks. Wizards 5.5 games. So they're going to need to win basically all the rest of their games and hope something crazy happens. I doubt it happens, but we'll see. They're better than all these Western Conference teams right here. The Pelicans, the Spurs, the Kings, the Blazers. They'll make it. They would have made it over all of them. So it's rough, but it is what it is. The Eastern Conference is much better this year than we're used to seeing. Anyway, moving on back, that'll wrap up the In the Hunt here. And then moving on to 19, Lakers basically stayed at this spot for like 2 weeks in a row. I've said it basically all week. This team is playing horrible. Besides LeBron James, LeBron is basically carrying them without Anthony Davis. It's just a dumpster fire, honestly, in LA. Like I said last week, like if you just go on ESPN, I don't think today, but like last week, if you went on ESPN, I would almost guarantee there's something like on their video thing about the Lakers, like how bad they've been. It's just that bad right now. But the Lakers, then again, I said it every week. They got the talent. You don't want to play this LeBron James in the first round if you're any playoff team, no matter what other roster they have. He brought that bad Cavaliers team to the finals that one year to lose to the Warriors. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to play LeBron in the playoffs, but we'll see what happens. Lakers 19, they can miss out on the play-in tournament as a whole, which would be crazy. I mean, if that happens, they're going to need some serious shakeups. They already need some serious shakeups unless they go on a run in the playoffs. But yeah, the Lakers, that's where they are at 19. And then 18, we got LA Clippers. LA is the other LA team. These two teams have been sticking together for a long time. They're 36 and 39. And the Clippers have lost 5 straight, so maybe they're opening up a hole for like a team like the Pelicans or the Lakers to surpass them. But I seriously doubt that. They've basically almost clinched as long as they don't keep losing games. They just need to get together. They've clinched the play-in tournament basically. But I doubt that they make it past the Timberwolves, who are just playing solid basketball right now, who are actually 7 games ahead. Yeah, it's not happening for the Clippers. They just need to focus on the tournament. I don't even know where Kawhi Leonard's going to be. I have not even heard a thing about him. I doubt he's going to be back this season. You're going to have to wait till next year. This has just been a weird year for the Clippers. But yeah, Paul George. We'll see if he can make the playoffs for them. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's where the Clippers are. And then number 17, we got the Hawks. Now going to kind of an East team after going 3 West teams here. The Hawks are 37 and 37. Again, like I said, the 500 team, and they're just doing good right now. They're playing just decent. Let's see. Yeah, that's really all the Hawks are with Trae Young and all that. Trae Young did it last year for this team. Maybe he can do it this year in the play-in tournament, make the playoff run. But we'll see what happens when I do my play-in tournament predictions. Right now, they're just trying to at least clinch that in the hunt. They're battling with the Hornets right now, and actually to get that 8 seed with the Nets. That 8 seed is big time right there. But whoever really gets that 9 seed is going to have home court advantage over the team. You want that home court advantage. I bet whoever gets home court advantage, at least at this time, is going to win that game because these two teams, between the Hornets, who are number 16, jumping up a spot, these two teams are just so even. All around, obviously, I would say that who's better, Trae Young or LaMelo Ball? It is a very it's an interesting discussion, but obviously Trae Young probably is better right now. LaMelo Ball probably will be just as good as him in the future, but Hornets got a better roster around them, I think, than Young does after, But yeah, that's where the Hornets are at 38 and 36. And then number 15, we got the Nets, who are 39 and 35. Brooklyn, 7-3 in the last 10 games. Yeah, so Brooklyn's trying to fight for the. Luckily, that obviously Kyrie Irving and is going to be back for them at home games, so that's big for them. I don't know if Ben Simmons. I don't even think he's going to be back this year. But KD is very similar to the Lakers, but much better. This team you do not want to play in the first round. Are they a spoiler team in the first round? Probably with Kevin Durant and Irving. They could beat like a Heat team in the first round. I probably would pick that upset. We'll see what happens though. But yeah, that's where Brooklyn is. As long as you make this play-in tournament, you're fine. With Kevin Durant, you're feeling pretty good. Yeah, Brooklyn at number 15. And then number 14, dropping down a spot, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland's 40. We got a big gap. Wait, no, not a big gap, sorry. But 41 and 43. Cleveland has... I've been right on the Cavs basically all year. They have lost 3 straight games at this point. So, I mean, the Cavs... I just did not all year long, no matter what winning streak they were. I just said it. I don't see this team going on a run in the playoffs. Obviously, this is not gone, but I feel like teams have figured out the Cavaliers a little bit more to finish off this year, and they're losing some games. They don't have their same heat, but we'll see what happens with Cleveland in the playoffs. It'll be good for the Cavaliers. Don't get me wrong. It'll be good for them to get a playoff, at least a planned game under their belt to see what happens. But if this team doesn't make the playoffs, this team could lose both games and be out of the whole thing. I could very much see that happening. Yeah, that's where the Cavs are at number 14. And then number 13, jumping up a spot, who are actually in the playoff tier at this time, the Raptors are in the number 6 team in the East right now, have surpassed the Cavaliers. 8-2 in the last 10 games. Raptors are getting hot at the right time. I remember when the Raptors were at the 10 seed and the Cavaliers were at the 3. It has been a big shakeup right there. But yeah, the Raptors just have turned things around, and the Raptors, you don't want to play a hot team in the playoffs. That's really the big thing here. They're very well coached. This team is going to be a dangerous team come playoffs. Do I think that they can win a game in a series in the playoffs? Probably not, but they'll probably be able to go to 6 games or maybe even 7. But we'll see what happens with the Raptors. I don't see this team getting swept basically in any series. They're just too disciplined and they're too competitive for that, I think. And then number 12, the last play-in tournament tier that will list the Timberwolves. At 42 and 32, staying at the same spot. 43 and 32, sorry. But they're just barely ahead of the Raptors. It's a close duel. I just like the Timberwolves a little bit more due to their talent with Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. But it's very close between those 3 teams right there, between the Raptors, Cavs, and Wolves. But yeah, the Wolves at 43 and 32, they actually have a chance to get out of the play-in tournament and at the pass with the Nuggets. I don't think it happens. The Nuggets, I mean, they are Jokic and Karl-Anthony Towns. That's a pretty... Jokic's better, but Karl-Anthony Towns not far off. We'll see what happens there. We'll see if the Timberwolves pass them up. But I don't think it happens. Timberwolves, I think, are going to be a play-in tournament team. They'll smoke probably either team they play. The Clippers. This team is just, look at all this. All the 5 East teams are ahead of the Clippers. And the Timberwolves. It's a complete gap there. I don't see the Wolves losing in the play-in tournament. But unless they go on a losing streak or something. At the moment, I don't see them losing. That's what I should have said. But anyway, number 11, the Nuggets at 44 and 31. Denver Denver is 5-5 in the last 10 games. Are 16-5. 16. Wait, I don't. Sorry. But they're 44-31. Yeah, the Nuggets just trying to hold on to that number 6 seed. They're close to the Mavericks, only a game and a half back on the 5 seed. Actually, the Jazz too. They're only a game and a half back on the Jazz. So it's a pretty close duel with the Nuggets. I don't think that they're gonna get there. I think that they're more at risk of losing this 6 seed. Yes, the 6 seed, but either one of these teams, the Nuggets or the Wolves, they're going to crush the Clippers in the first round anyway. Maybe the Clippers get lucky one night and win, but I don't see it happening in the play-in tournament. Both these teams are just significantly better than any of the other play-in tournament tiers in the West. So that's where the Nuggets are, trying to hold on to that spot. And then number 10, the Bulls, staying at the same spot from last week. Let's see. The Bulls are 43-31. Getting their mojo back a little bit. They're 4-6 in the last 10 games, but still kind of in this stretch where they're not a contender. I don't even know, besides DeRozan, none of these other guys have made the playoffs. That, like, they're big-time players. Have Ball made the playoffs? Like, maybe as a backup on the Lakers? No, he didn't even make it during the Lakers. Who else? Vucevic. Has he made the playoffs with the Magic? I think he has. Yeah, he has. I remember some years they were like a 7 seed each year, but yeah, the Lakers, the Bulls, not really gonna but they don't have a lot of playoff experience, but they got their big time players that they can go and run with DeRozan and Levine. I don't see them doing it though at the moment. They've kind of cooled off. They were like a 1 seed contention for a few weeks, then they cooled off. But they can get hot again come playoff. That's their goal at this point. Get hot. They're gonna get hot and maybe get a 4 seed, but they're gonna have to go through someone on the road. Most likely. But right now, that's where the Bulls are. They actually are at risk of dropping into the play-in tournament, only a game ahead of the Raptors and 2 games ahead of the Cavs. So, got to focus on that right now. But yeah, the Bulls, I still think that they can be a contender, just need to get a little bit hot lately. We'll see what happens with the Chicago Bulls. And then number 9, Dallas, very close to being a contender. I just cannot see Luka carrying this team all the way without Porzingis. This roster is built around Luka, but I don't see Luka being able to go all the way to the championship. That's only the real reason why this team is not a contender at the moment. But if they can get that number 4 seed from the Jazz, that would be huge for them to get home court advantage and maybe pull off an upset over Utah. We'll see what happens there. But Dallas, Luka Doncic, is really just about him with this roster. It's just about building all around him. But then again, there's so much other good teams. I don't see Luka being able to beat every team 4 different series to win the championship. That's why I don't think the Mavericks are a contender this year. But yeah, number 8, we got the Jazz dropping down 2 spots in this contender tier. Very close to moving them out. But, they've been in the playoffs before. They've actually been, I think, 4 straight years, not including this year. So they have been in the playoffs, actually 5. They have been in the playoffs a lot of years. So they have that playoff experience. Obviously, they haven't used any of that to make it past the second round. Have only made it to the they made it to the second round 3 times and have not made it past it. So Utah, it's all about just getting things. It's been that all year. It's just about seeing what they can do in the playoffs. Like, it's literally been like that last year and this year. Obviously they've went on a cold streak, but I think they know right now it's all about the playoffs at this point. Obviously getting a 4 seed would be nice, or a 3 seed. But it's all about just getting ready for the playoffs. That's what the Jazz are thinking. But right now, it's not looking the best. They're not playing the greatest basketball. They've lost 3 straight. So we'll see what happens with the Jazz. And then number 7, we got the Heat. Dropping down 3 spots. Very similar to Utah right now. I had both these teams in the top 5 basically all year. But the Heat have lost 4 straight games. They're really struggling right now. Yeah, I mean, it's been against some good teams, but they've lost bad to some of these teams right now. So a little bit of a concern for the Heat. They just got to get a little bit hotter coming into the playoffs, but it's a very tight Eastern Conference race, man. Like for the Jazz, it's going to be a very tough road, but for the Heat, they can do it. It's just a weird thing with the Heat that they could lose in the first round or they could go on a deep run. That's really why they're contenders. We don't know what's going to happen with them. But we'll see. The Heat. I feel like if you're a 2 seed, you do not want to play the Nets in the first. This play-in tournament leaves a lot of uncertainty, man. If you're a 2 seed, you do not want the Nets to be able to win a team and have to play you. That could end well. That could end bad for your team. So we'll see what happens with Miami. Just had to drop them down for this losing streak. Drop them down 3 spots. It just needed to be done. Right there. And then number 6, the Celtics, a red-hot team in the East, have won 5 straight games. Yeah, Boston, man. They just 9-1 in the last 10 games. I mean, it's just crazy right now. Celtics jumping up 2 spots, sweeping with the Jazz. But, I mean, Boston, they've had all this talent for so long, and they've finally put things together. This team is scary right now because they are so hot. I could see this team easily just continuing this heat streak and just blowing past everyone, no matter what team it is. Obviously, this team could shut down come playoff time. I don't think that happens. Tatum's already had his experience. This whole team has already had their playoff experience. But, yeah, the Celtics, dangerous team right now in the playoffs. And then number 5, we got Milwaukee. Jumping up a couple spots. And the really reason is I like really basically the Bucks over these 4 teams. It's really just because of Giannis. Like Giannis just is better than any of these 4 teams' best player. And any of these 3 teams' best player in the Celtics, Heat, and Jazz. It's just that's why this team is above all of them. Because of Giannis, and they got Drew Holiday, and they proved they could win in the playoffs last year. It's just all put that all together, and you got a team that, if they're all the same, like basically the same record, you're going to have them above all of them. But they did lose the game. That they've just been 7-3 in the last 10 games. It's really been all of that this year. Just get into the playoffs and see what Giannis can do in this team, and see if we can repeat. I don't think it'll happen though. It's very hard to repeat twice, especially with this much talent across the league right now. We'll see what happens, though. This playoffs is going to be interesting to predict. I don't even know who I'd pick to win the whole thing at the moment. But, yeah, number 3, we got the Golden State Warriors. Curry, I think, is still out right now. And I'm not going to take that against them. They're going to finish the 3 seed unless Utah or the Mavericks get hot at the end of the year and they get cold. But, yeah, I don't see them getting hot enough and the Grizzlies getting cold enough for them to surpass them, the Grizzlies. So the Warriors, it's just about getting Curry healthy and getting ready for the playoffs to play whoever that 6th team might be. Nuggets are a dangerous 6th seed. Timberwolves, not as dangerous, but also a scary team. I mean, they could get eliminated in the first round to one of those teams, but we'll see what happens. Golden State will try and make it back with Draymond Green and Thompson. A lot of experience on that team in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But number 2, we got the Grizzlies. Oh, wait. Sorry. Sixers are number 4. I actually didn't put the Sixers up there. But yeah, the Sixers are the number 4 team. And have won 3 straight, very close actually to surpassing the Warriors. I do like Curry more than the Curry and the Warriors more than the Sixers though. with Curry, without him. Obviously, the Warriors dropping down all the way down there, but the Sixers, number one team in the East now. That James Harden trade, trying to show why they did that. If they can get the 1 seed and they can go on a run, win the whole thing, it'll be worth it. But we'll see what happens with with Philadelphia. Joel Embiid and Harden. It's going to be interesting. That's a very tough team to play. If you're the Nets, man, what a matchup that could be. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Joel Embiid, and James Harden. That would be an interesting matchup, to say the least. And then we got, so we'll just pretend Warriors 4, Sixers 4, Warriors 3, number 2, Grizzlies, right there, and then number 1, Suns. Both these teams stay at the same spot. But the Grizzlies right now, 52 and 23, they've basically clinched, I think, the 2 seed. Not clinched, but they're very close to clinching. They cannot get the 1 seed, but right now, if they can get that 2 seed and play, maybe the best case scenario is having to play the Clippers in the first round. I think they would crush them. But that 2 seed's big time because you don't want to play the Nuggets. With their experience, they've only had 1 year in the playoffs. With the Grizzlies' experience, I could see Jokic able to go on a run and beat them. But yeah, that's the Grizzlies. And then the Suns at number 1 at 60 and 14 have won 7 straight games, have completely crushed the league right now, have clinched the number 1 seed. They can sit back, relax, get prepared for the playoffs this year, and get prepared for who they're going to take on in the play-in tournament. Obviously, the play-in tournament, there's some controversy about, it leaves a disadvantage if you're the number 1 or 2 seed because you don't know who you're going to play. But, I don't really like the play-in tournament that much. I think it was just fine how it was. But, yeah, that is my power rankings. So, anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hope you all enjoyed the content. Tomorrow, I will be making my Final Four predictions. My bracket's completely busted. But, yeah, anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Peace.